Yay! Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm glad everyone's here.
This is Keely, and we are here to share about some tips and information on conscious creatives.
Yeah, I've been really looking forward to this, Sam. I think it's really cool that we both have studied this and we both have a lot of passion for this subject. So I think it'll be really great.
I know. As I was like, as I was driving back from my bar class, and I was like thinking about this event, and I'm like, think about like the creatives are the ones that make life so much more fun and so much more interesting. And I feel like the fact that they're not being paid as well, or, not every creative, but many that are starting out, maybe they think they have these old beliefs that like, oh, like if I want to do my passion, then I'm not going to get paid for it. But think about all those gifts that the universe, that everybody doesn't get to enjoy when their gifts aren't unraveled, when they don't get to share their gift with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, and I think, and I'd like to hear your story, but for me personally, it was a lot of work overcoming those beliefs that, hey, you can get paid being an artist. You can really thrive in the creative industry. And like, just because you see someone else doing it, I mean, that means it's possible for you too.
Right.
I had these beliefs like, well, I didn't go to art school or whatever, so I can never make it. And that's so limiting. It's like you're saying.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I feel like that's number one for most people, is that we have these limiting beliefs, and we've been taught these same beliefs over and over again as we've been growing up, whether from our parents or from teachers or from TV and movies. And so we just kind of just accept like, oh, that must be the reality because that's what everybody else says.
Yeah.
One of my coaches, Alex Moscow, he's like, start high end, stay high end. He's like,
Yeah.
as he teaches people how to like raise their prices, he's like, you're going to go back into your groups and everyone's going to say that's not possible. And that's just because we haven't experienced it yet. So we think it's not possible, but it's actually very possible. And I've met so many super lucrative like artists and coaches now that I'm like, wow, like, they're like in the millionaire status. And I'm like, okay, this is possible for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how about you start by telling us a little bit about how you stepped into that place that you're speaking of, and kind of what has led you into being the coach that you are?
Okay. So I grew up with a typical Asian mom. And it was like, I would bring home like, and she'll deny this, but I'll bring home like a 95% test score. I'll like, Mom, look at what I did. And she's like, was it number one? And I'm like, no. She's like, then don't show me.
Oh my gosh.
And it's funny. She doesn't remember stuff like that. But anyway, so I feel like I grew up with like, oh, I got to get everything perfect. And I would like stay up until like 3 or 4 a.m. just to make sure like my papers were like, like awesome. Like all my T's were crossed. Everything was, just like everything was like perfect. And from an academic standpoint. And then like years later, it was like I got acne all over my face, my chest, my back. I started gaining weight. I felt so much pain and discomfort in my body. And like I just thought it was like normal. And I thought like everybody had that. And I had like a few different spiritual awakening moments where I realized like, oh my gosh, I'm like forcing myself to do these things that I don't actually like, they don't actually bring me joy. And I'm trying to get some external like result or feedback, which is just for like a moment, like I started to realize like how ridiculous this is. I'm like, who cares if I get 100% or an 8? Like nobody else in the world is like actually going to care, like very momentarily in your school career. But then after that, it's like nobody, like nobody wants to see that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm spending all of my life like trying to like make this thing that I don't even like really care about. And anyway, so I learned hypnosis, I learned body talk, I learned Chinese medicine, like acupuncture, I learned all these different things. I learned Qigong, yoga, And as I'm like moving through all of that, it's just like layers and layers of this like old programming peeling away of like, whoa, I'm doing all these things because I think I have to, instead of doing them because like it actually fulfills me or brings me joy. So that's kind of my journey in a nutshell. I mean, it could be a whole book.
Yeah, it'd be a great book.
But yeah, so now I just feel so passionate about getting people like back in their bodies and really tuned in and aligned to the flow. And I feel that, you know, even in our pop music culture, a lot of people are creating from this space of like, actually, they just don't have tools to heal their emotional bodies. So we're hearing all these like super sad songs, like, you know, all these things. And that's the beauty of art too. It's like a really awesome form of like healing for people. But I just know that as like our real creatives start to tune in, like we're going to be like innovators, we're going to be changing the world, we're going to be, you know, like we're going to be rocking it. And like that level of creation, like into there, it's like you're not creating a suffering pattern, you're not creating this, like you're not just like stimulating an emotion, you're like actually getting people to grow and evolve. And that's what's so exciting to me, is like I know that everybody is like the superhuman, like there's like all these superpowers stored inside, and I just like, I'm like, how can I get those out, you know, like that's like my everyday question, like
yes,
superpowers out. So yeah, so that's kind of my story. So I would love to hear your conscious creative, like I didn't even know other people like thought of that term, so I was so excited when I heard that you like do this, you know.
Yeah, I think it was fascinating. I threw that phrase out to you, and I've literally never heard anyone else use it. I just kind of like, that fits what I do, so I started using it. And you were like, yeah, I'm all about that, I know everything about it. Like, I'm like, yes. Like, to me, I mean, conscious creativity is just such a powerful place to be in. Not only just, you know, like when you're creating, but just being there. Because I'm like you, I think we all have this like, you know, unlimited flow of just creative energy that comes from, I don't know, just like the source in the sky of creativity is how I describe it, because
I love that.
nobody, you can't describe it, but when you're working on something and you get like an instant download and you're in your flow, I mean, you're healing yourself like in that moment, you're receiving a gift. Yeah. And then I feel like once you share that with other people, you're healing them too. Yeah. And it's just what you were saying. It's such a powerful process, but it can't be forced. And a lot of times it can't be, you know, like cognitively learned. It's a place of being. Mm-hmm. And that's why I use the conscious creativity term, because it's learning to be, and be, you know, happy with who you are, like you said, and happy with, you know, just being, not trying to force your way for, you know, approval of others, and, you know, trying to do this and this. And so anyways, yeah, so I guess for me, how did I get there? Yeah.
No, I love that. I love all of that. And to me, it's like, you know, it's like, there's this faucet, and the source in the sky is like constantly funneling this energy through us. And sometimes we can have it really open, and sometimes it's like closed off, you know? And I think what, you know, from my perspective, because I haven't really worked with you yet, but from my perspective, what we both do is like, we keep that channel open so they can have access to that flow a lot more often, you know? And there's just techniques that we didn't grow up knowing. They're very simple, but it's like, if you don't do them, we don't have that access.
Yes. And like so many clients that I work with, they're like, okay, I've got this business and I just want to do all the things. And I'm like, I'm on all these different social medias and I'm checking all the boxes and it's not working. Like, what's going on? And I'm like, yeah, because you're forcing it and you're coming from that forceful energy. There's no way creativity can survive there. And, you know, that's what I think what we do is all about. I kind of get frustrated with, and there's definitely a time for both. There's time for business coaching and strategy, but then a lot of times you need to, I think it's underrated, but vastly underrated, but there's a big need to align within yourself and heal your past and heal your truths and learn how to live right there. And then that energy is where you need to approach your business.
Yeah.
And I have this idea that like, I don't know if enlightenment's the right word, but as you become more conscious and, you know, I feel like one of the highest steps of just being completely present in yourself, completely in your truth, is having a business that aligns with that, you know?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because your business is kind of like an extension of you, you know, and as that energy radiates out, you know, and it's so cool that you're talking about that, because I feel like I'm kind of in this transition space with my business right now, because it was like I had done something for so many years and it was like a really big passion of mine, but it was like 12 years that I'd done that. And now it's like, I'm like, okay, well, what's going to be the next level, you know? And so, and that's something that I think is interesting too, is like people will develop a business and they're so passionate about it, but then they're like, oh no, I'm getting bored. What is it? Is it wrong? Is it whatever, you know? But it's like, no, it's like, you're ready for that richer level. You're ready to like make it bigger or more accessible, or, you know, you're ready to show up in a different way. Like, for instance, like doing Facebook Live is very new for me. And that's like, I'm like, okay, I'm ready for the next, like, ooh, what's going to push me to grow even more? And I think it's just being present on this level, you know, being able to reach people through social media is like a really big game changer.
Yeah. And you're right. And it's each new, like strategy for business or, you know, like marketing type of thing, all of that as a entrepreneur and someone who owns their business, all of that reflects straight back onto you. Right. And so if you're not just totally, you know, in alignment with yourself and holding your own presence and feeling that confidence and that power, then like that, all those efforts are just going to be really like mushy and not, you know, not powerful like you want them to be. And so, yeah, and it's like you're saying, it's a constant process. Like, what's next? What's next? What's next?
Yeah, and I feel like people are so intuitive these days. They don't really realize how intuitive they are, but they're really very intuitive. And so, like, I love that you say that, because I think it's when people are just like pushing or trying to do these things, and like people, they feel like they're like, something doesn't feel like complete for some reason, you know. It's like they don't feel like they vibe with that person to work with them. And so, yeah, so I feel like all those things are super, just like, I love that I don't have to like teach that you already know that like that was really exciting when like we met, you know.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, because then it's like that very clear stream of energy that goes out, and that's really what attracts people. And I've seen so many miracles in my life, and I was actually talking to a healer about this recently, because I think that as a collective, a lot of us have healed a lot, you know, and now it's almost like we're on this, we're approaching a next level where it's like you just do your life and just like be. And then that's the energy that's going to inspire others. It's like people are almost like, I'm not broken. I don't want to be fixed anymore. Like, I don't want to like, I don't want to feel like I need another like healing session. Like, I just want to like be, you know?
Yeah. 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 And I think like, at least for me, like, and sounds like you too, your past, like, I feel like the generations before us, you know, they have not a very good concept of this, because I think back then, you know, even just like 20 years ago, you know, your whole existence was work for someone else. You work there for 40 years, then you retire, and then you can kind of do what you want, you know. But it is very much not, you know, put your hobbies and passions to the side, and like those aren't going to pay the bills. Like, don't throw all your energy into that. And even I think a lot of like the intuition and the healing, I think that was all considered frivolous, you know, and kind of excessive. And I just think it's so beautiful and magical. Like, I think the internet has opened so many worlds for us, and for our generation, like growing up with the internet unraveling, and the internet is just its own journey, you know. It just gets me excited just watching it evolve, and it evolved with us as a species. But, you know, now we're we're open to so many other ideas and cultures and learning. I mean, like I can get a degree online in whatever, you know, and as a lot of your certifications, some of those may be from online. I don't know. But yeah, and now we've got all of this available to us to where no, you can, healing yourself is the most important and your passions are the most important. And we've evolved, like you said, to that next level of just clarity and alignment and enlightenment. And it is so exciting to see other people like you who are just doing it and being from that place and living your life from that place. And it's like you said, then you get to the next level. It's just crazy exciting because it's like when everyone is just, you know, a large majority of us are learning to just be and just feel that radiance like through your body and just out into the world, all this just pure light, you know, that does something for the next generation, you know, it's just really neat.
I love that. Yeah. To me, it's like, it's just lights igniting lights, you know, it's like the more aligned you are, you become this like battery and you just like charge up another person just by being around them, you know? And yeah, and I feel so excited about that because I just know how beautiful the world's going to be when we're all like operating from that space, you know, like that is like super what lights me up.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, you know, I think the thing is, it's like, you know, me and you, we could talk about, being all day. And like, we totally understand that. But I think like our viewers, there's still going to be some people that just like, they've heard that concept. They know that they want to do that. They want to feel that, they want to be there. But like, do you have any like tangible tools to support them in being there? Or maybe like, are you able to break down in detail like how you feel about that so they can like be like, oh, maybe I have felt this being before? Because I think people have felt it, but they may not be able to identify it. And if they can't identify it, it's hard for them to like go back, just like choose to be in that space.
Yes, that is such a good question and like so well put. Because I feel like I've been on this journey a long time. And I look back even, you know, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And that's exactly, I'm like, I can feel it and I can't wrap my hands around it. I can't describe it, but I know it's there.
Yeah.
And I imagine you're right. I imagine a lot of our followers and viewers and stuff, I imagine a lot of you watching this, you might kind of know what we're talking about, but you're kind of like, y'all are getting out there, I don't know. And so this is why, so, and I'm not really trying to sell, but I am passionate about this. I started my ebook, Brazenly Beautiful, for that reason. And this book literally flew out of me, like, I don't know what the word is, not flew, but flow, like flew out of me.
Yeah.
And sometimes I make up my own words.
I love it.
It was flowing out of me. Actually, I wrote it like 5 years ago. And I sat down at my kitchen table and just wrote it. And it was, to me, the tangible steps, like baby steps that had kind of gotten me to really, I like the term blossom, which is fun for you.
No, I saw that. I was like, what?
Yes, I love the term blossom because it just captures it for me. And so, okay, so there was lots of tiny baby steps that I think have helped me blossom. And I don't think I'm fully blossomed yet. I think I'm still in the process. But I really, in that book, wrote about, you know, like, I'm a doer. I'm a overachiever. It sounds like you have those tendencies too. And, you know, I was raised the same way, like all A's and, you know, president of every club. And, you know, like, that's just that it's hard for me to sit still. You know, I got to be doing and I've got to be achieving. And it was really a process for me to learn how to be. And so one of the biggest things that it started with for me was learning to just sit in silence. And like, I remember my mentor at the time, he encouraged me I made a lot of trips to the next town over, which is an hour away. And he encouraged me to just don't listen to the radio, just just drive in silence. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, there's gotta be music. There's gotta be like an audiobook. Like, and so it was really, really, really hard. I mean, like, I know that people go through this. Like, you want to bang your head against the window because it's so hard to just sit in silence. And, but eventually, you know, I made that trip every week. And it was just a little competition with myself. Like, okay, not going to listen to the radio, not going to listen to the radio. And eventually, I think you have all these scattered thoughts and this noise. Eventually, you learn, and that starts to clear. And that is like just the beginning of just like, okay, I'm okay just as I am. And I'm enough just being. I don't have to be doing and listening and, you know. And so that's a really big first step for me, was just learning to like exhale and just sit. And it started to even before the car rides. I remember setting a timer on my phone, 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes of nothing, not thinking, not praying, not reading, just sitting. And that was really hard. But I think absolutely, like, you're right. You have to start with these little baby steps. And so my book, it's, you know, okay, here's the first step in sitting in silence. Here's the first step in journaling, and all these little exercises you can do to kind of start that process.
I love that. That's so great. Because it's like the little tiny things that we do every day that, like, I don't know, just adds up to flow. And for me, it was definitely a very different process. I was in Shanghai, China, studying acupuncture, and I was getting B's instead of A's, so I started getting panic attacks.
Oh no!
I mean, I wouldn't really even label them panic attacks, but I just, like, I knew I had, like, a new level of, like, anxiety that I'd never had before. And so I was in Taiwan, and my mom's like, oh, let's take you to this, like, hypnotherapist guy. So I went and saw this hypnotherapist, and I remember I think I didn't even realize how many thoughts I had in my head. But I remember going to that session and be like, oh, such a waste of money, blah, 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 blah. Like, all these, like, thoughts.
Yeah.
You know? And I think it was, like, after the 5th session, I literally remember crossing the street and being like, oh my God, there's no thoughts.
Oh, wow.
I know. It was like, the only thought was just me thinking there's no thoughts, you know, like, there was, like, zero anything else. It was just, like, silence. And I remember being like, whoa, like, I just had never experienced it before.
Wow.
And so now, you know, it's like when I meditate, or if I'm, like, I mean, you could spend 3 hours just sitting and you feel like the whole universe is shown to you, you know. It's like, I mean, being by yourself is so much fun once you, like,
yeah,
out some things, you know.
Yeah.
At that point, you're just, like, never lonely anymore. You're like, oh, I'm, like, with my spirit, and I'm in my temple, and so I'm, like, super aligned. So I love that there's so many tools for us to get there, you know. And it's like for the viewers out there, if you know you're not there, just find something that resonates with you. And I think it's super important to find something that resonates with each individual, because it has to bring joy for you. And it should be fun, you know. It shouldn't feel like an obligation or a chore. I've definitely done, like, some meditations that I felt like were like, whoa, like, it was just, or like prayer ceremonies and stuff that it was just like, oh, it was just, like, too much, to the point where I was like, I don't feel like I had any experience, you know. And so I think it's really important to find tools and mentors or coaches that, like, vibe with you and resonate with you. So
yeah, no, I think you're totally right. And I think every tool isn't going to work for every person.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And
oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
We're new at this. No. But no, I feel I would love to know what your, like, high-end offer is, because to me, it's like, unless, you know, I think we know our offers really well, but it's like, in order for someone to have that level of deep change and transformation, it's like, they have to understand, like, what's the depth of your offer? You know, it's like, what transformation are you going to get to take your person through, you know? So, like, I would love to hear that, because I haven't heard it yet. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Thank you for asking. My high-end offer is so creative consciousness coaching is what I'm calling it. And it's 6 weeks, 6 one-on-one sessions. So it's an hour-long session each time. And this is the thing. So I have mindset curriculum that I give my clients for free. And it's 4 modules, self-study, but we don't design the sessions around that necessarily. That is just totally a gift. And that is kind of the basics of clearing the mind clutter and realigning your mind to fit your spirit too. But in the actual coaching sessions, I feel very strongly that I don't have an agenda and we're not going over a specific curriculum. I'm there with you. And again, with the presence, with the consciousness. And so I show up as a coach as, here I am, I'm holding the space for you. What is on your heart right now? Because one day, the client might come to me and they're like, oh, I'm just stressed out about my business. And my Instagram isn't working. We really need to talk about Instagram. Give me all your ideas for Instagram. And I'm like, okay, what's the real reason behind this? Like, where is this fear coming from? Because it's always, I'm not a business coach. I don't want to be a business coach because I believe it's a lot of times something deeper that's causing you to be frantic and have that anxious energy. But for example, then the next session, maybe your dog died and you're just all over the place and you don't know what it is, but all of those things, like we talked about earlier, relate to your business and relate to how you're relating to your audience. And so, like I said, every session, I just show up, I'm with you where you are, and we talk about what you're going through.
I think that's so valuable. And I think our linear minds are going to be like, oh, but I want to know exactly what it's going to be. But really, honestly, you're going to be in the moment and you're going to be like, I know this week is supposed to be about this, but this is what's going on in my life right now,
Yep.
So it's just so much more in the flow and more authentic and more real. And I think that's what everybody is craving, is that genuine piece. And it's important for people to have a coach, I feel, because they're going to go back to their worlds and nobody's going to know what they're talking about. Most people are, the environment that we're in is so important. And that gravity that they're going to feel of everybody else's world being real, that's the thing that you have all these awesome creative ideas, and then you need someone to say, yes, that's possible. Yes, let's get this done. That is the energy value. When 2 or more come together, that energy amplifies and it gets so much bigger. And so.
Yes, absolutely. No, I totally agree. So tell us about your high-end offer, because I know you have studied, guys, Samantha has studied all these cool things. She has lots of certifications, and I just go to your website and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just feel like I could just learn from you. There's just so many cool things you've done. So I'm interested to hear your high offer too.
So I'm a study-aholic. Everybody has their own addictions, and I think that's definitely mine. I don't know, I love consuming content, mainly because I feel it's like a puzzle, I'm like, okay, I know this is I don't know, I feel like it's like a global puzzle that we're unraveling together.
Yes, I love that. Wow.
Well, I do have an online offer that's just it's an evergreen system, which is the money codes, and it's a 7-week program, and basically it's making money feel fun and creative, and you're working through your 7 chakras, and we're clearing out ancestral beliefs, past life, all these different aspects that you probably wouldn't think about with money, but really if you have money trauma from generations in the past, that can be stored in your system. And so you're like, dude, I feel like I love money and I want it to come in, but why is it not? And there's just little triggers. It can feel like an allergy for some people. And to me, I want it to be so much fun. It's like Monopoly, it's oh, it just came in, it's oh, easy.
Yes, it should be.
Yeah, it should be. And I know that once have you heard of the 100th monkey effect before?
No, I have not.
So the 100th monkey effect is a few monkeys in Japan on one island started washing their sweet potatoes. And so the other monkeys see it and they're like, oh, they're doing that too. But then once 100 monkeys did that, then the island over that never saw the monkeys do that, they started washing their sweet potatoes too. So there's something in collective consciousness that once so many people learn something, it becomes easier for other people to learn it. For instance, when, I can't remember his name, but when the person broke the mile, the first person to do like 4 minutes and 16 seconds in a mile or something like that, it was like 16 other people broke that record in that year. Whereas before, it had just never happened before. And so when enough of us learn something new, like a new concept, it just becomes easier for everybody else to learn. And so my whole intention with the money codes is, why don't we shift money to be a vibration of love that flows between people, cultures, and nations, instead of this like yucky thing that like, you know, it's like basically slavery, all these other things. Like, I just feel like it doesn't have to be. And it's an energy that flows through like almost like every system. So I just know that when we intentionally continue to heal our connection with money, it can show up very differently for all of us. So yeah, so I've had people that like, they were like, oh, I found $700 in my closet. Someone had an email, like a refund for $32,000. Someone made their first 5K coaching, you know, sale, like after just like 2 weeks in the program. So
wow.
I know it could be really fun for everybody. So that's kind of my evergreen online program. And then I have 2 different types of high-end offers. One is like really deep, and that's like a 9-month system. And then one is more of just like a creation hub. It's like a 3-month program, and they get 2 body talk sessions, 1 90-minute strategy like every month. And we're basically just looking at their business for a project that they're creating. It could even be they want to have more harmony in their family, like whatever it is that they want to like kind of focus on for those 3 months. Like we would just like continue to like fine tune that one area and see like how that just kind of like blossoms. And the 9-month program is the Destiny Manifesto. And so that's like way more in depth. And to me, it's like 9 months. So it's like a rebirthing process. And yeah, and
I like that.
Yeah.
Love that.
And it's just the concept of like flower love. Once you love every single thing in yourself and your past, like all these aspects of you, then you can flower wealth, because if you're only radiating wealth outwards, like you can only have it mirrored back to you. And then once that cycle is very complete, then you're flowering your destiny. So because once you have more than enough energy, it's like then you can just infuse it into your destiny. So
oh my gosh, that's beautiful. I love that.
Thank you. Yeah,
cool.
So that's kind of like my few systems. But people can always do just like a one-off session here and there too. Sometimes it's nice to just get like, I always say energy healing is like, you know, when you get someone to clean your house, it's just so much cleaner than if you were to try to do it yourself, you know?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I like that.
So I think it's nice for people to come in just like once every 4 to 6 weeks just to get like a little booster and stuff like that. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yay.
Cool. Awesome.
So, do you have any freebies for our viewers?
Yes. So if you'll go to thesparklinghippie.com.
I love that name, by the way.
Thank you. It called me. It came to me, you know?
Yeah, it's so you. It's just like, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and it's funny because the more I grow, the more it fits.
Oh, that's even better.
And I started the Sparkling Hippie blog like 7 years ago, and I wasn't even blogging about anything I'm blogging about now, but it's like, no, it just continues to fit better and better.
I love it.
But yeah, so my freebie is a creative confidence starter kit.
Ooh.
It's a several page PDF, and it's fun, trust me. So you work through, like it's kind of like different little blocks that we have that are keeping us from being our most creative and vibrant self. And, but it's interactive. So it's a PDF, but you can type in the inside of it and answer questions. So there's a lot of like little journaling prompts with a space for you to write and kind of work through it. So even that, like, I feel like is very transformational because it may take you like an hour to do, if that, but you're going to learn something about yourself and about what's keeping you blocked and how to start stepping into that brave, powerful creative. So
Ooh, I love that.
yes.
So
Yeah.
come on, everybody, an hour.
I know. Yeah. It's supposed to be fun, simple. So
Oh, that's so great.
tell us about your freebie.
So mine is called the Money Mirror, and basically to me, money is like root chakra, second chakra. So it's like very survival programs, and so the Money Mirror is the 5 elements, and it's showing you like the rhythms and the cycles of money. So for instance, it's like when money energy flows in, you make sure you have a certain amount that goes into your savings, which is like your earth element, and just kind of like understanding like that whole cycle. So it's just like a really short video. I think it's less than 15 minutes, and then there's a couple PDFs that go with it, and it's really fun, and but it just kind of like brightens your eyes around money.
Wow. Yeah. I'm gonna have to grab that. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I know. I can't wait to go through yours.
Yeah. Yes, this is great.
Cool. Thank you so much. This has been so awesome.
Yes.
And yeah, if our viewers have any like specific questions for us, like I would be happy to do like a follow-up with a Q&A or something if we can get Facebook to work, or maybe if they like let us know their questions in advance and then we can just do a Zoom video to respond.
Yeah.
Any of that would be super fun to me. So whatever our people want.
Absolutely. I would love Q&A sessions are my favorite. They're so fun. Yeah. So thank you for making this happen and for just being available today. I just think it's been really fun to chat and kind of get to throw our ideas out in the world a little bit more.
Yes, thank you so much. Thanks for holding the space.
Yeah.
And I love all your art stuff in the back. That's so perfect.
Thank you.
Let's see. Do we have any last minute inspiring words for our people?
Last minute. Well, I'm just going to go with my tagline. And again, this is one I've just used for years.
Yeah.
And that's create your own happy ending.
Oh, I love that so much. Yay!
Yeah. What about you? Last words.
Live a soul-inspired life and ignite and blossom your destiny.
Ooh, powerful. I love it. I love it.
We love you guys.
Yes, we love you. Cool. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and hopefully we'll have a follow-up soon.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.